was that the Holy Quran makes it crystal clear, it couldn't be clearer, that women are equal in spirituality, worth and education. And right from the early days of Islam, women held an equal role. In fact, there was an amazing woman called Musaiba, who was known as the shield of the Prophet, peace be upon him, because she was fighting in the battlefield, protecting him. Now, if women could go into the battlefield in those early days of Islam, why on earth in this country can I not go into some mosques? It's absolutely outrageous. But I'm told that I can't, and I know that it's wrong. And I know that these mosque committees, these male mosque committees, are wrong. Women have an equal role to play in Islam. And after 2 years of looking into Islam, I realized that for me this was a very natural progression for me to make, to embrace Islam. People say to me, how could you make such a great leap of faith? And I say to them, I didn't make a great leap of faith. I still pray to the same God. I still believe in the same God. I still have dialogue with the same God. And then others will say, how could you abandon Jesus? And I say, far from abandoning him, I've rediscovered him and got a renewed respect for him. And I remember leaving a Roman Catholic priest in Belfast speechless during a radio debate when it was at the time of those vile cartoons which came out of Denmark, and this Roman Catholic priest turned around and he said, you know, you Muslims, you've gone a little bit over the top. You've taken a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You've gone completely over the top. And I said, no, we haven't. I said, we love our Prophet Muhammad with our very last breath, and we will do everything to protect and respect him, much in the same way as we'll do for Jesus and his memory. I said, unlike you. He said, what do you mean? He said, we revere Jesus. I said, you revere him so much, you've put him in a snow globe and you sell him for €2 in Rome outside the Vatican. You've stuck the Virgin Mary on a pencil sharpener and you're selling her for €3. What sort of respect is that for these great people in your faith? And he just went quiet because he knew they're cashing in by coming up with these cheap, horrible, exploitative trinkets. And so I, you know, gave him something to think about, and it isn't something that is lost on other members of the church. In fact, the Archbishop of Canterbury got into a lot of bother a couple of years ago when he praised Muslims for the way in which they do revere and respect all of the prophets, and he said that he wished that Christians would hold that sort of love and respect as openly for Jesus as we do for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So after 2 years I embraced what I consider to be the biggest and best faith in the world, and we have a very diverse family. We're no different to any other family, but we do tend to come together in a crisis, and we've seen some extraordinary scenes breaking out across the Muslim world in the last few months, out of Tunisia, out of Egypt. I went to Tahrir Square a few weeks ago before Hosni Mubarak had stood down, and what really impressed me in Tahrir Square was the coming together of Christians and Muslims who had been at each other's throats a few months earlier because of the poisonous sectarianism which had been whipped up by the regime. But Tahrir Square brought an end to that sectarianism, and it really brought a lump to my throat to see Muslims in prayer being protected by their Christian brothers, and then on the Sunday, Muslims doing the same to protect their Christian brothers also in prayer. And it was an amazing scene, and I just thought to myself, you know, this is the time when Muslims and Christians will come together. Sadly, the poison of sectarianism is trying to creep again, this time over the issue of Bahrain. And I tell my friends there that the situation in Bahrain has absolutely nothing to do with Sunni and Shia, and everything to do with the exploitation and brutalization of the poor people in Bahrain, 70% of whom happen to be from the Shia group. I remember when I first started looking into Islam, I said to somebody, you know, what is the difference between Sunni and Shia? And I was told, oh, one's homicidal, the other one's suicidal. I don't know. All I know is that we pray to the same God. We dearly love our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and we should concentrate and focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. And the thing that identifies us as Muslims are the 5 pillars of Islam. And that is what identifies us. That is what brings us together. And we should really focus on that, because the last thing that this revolution needs across the Arab world and in the Persian Gulf is sectarianism. It will serve no one's purpose for us to end up fighting each other than the rich and powerful tyrants who have oppressed the ordinary people for years and years and want to continue doing so. So we are living in a very exciting time. It's a volatile time, but we all as Muslims need to remember that we do come from one family, and that we need to pull together. The day I embraced Islam, as I say, was the day I joined the greatest family on earth, and we are living in difficult times. You just have to read some websites and go into some chat rooms, and people think that we are evil, brutal, and women are oppressed. But one thing that I have discovered since I put on a hijab is that if I do speak my mind and exercise my right as a Muslim woman to be empowered and speak out, I'm called a fanatic, and I'm also called an extremist, which I find quite amusing. I mean, I've got very fixed views about Palestine. I have for more than 30 years. And I would stand up 20 years ago and say, forget 2 states, forget 1 state, get your thieving hands off that land and give it back to the Palestinians. And people would go, oh yes, If I say that now, it's, oh my God, she's an extremist, she's a radical, she's changed. It's really interesting to see how people have changed towards me simply because of my hijab. But I'm sure that everybody can identify with that one. I know there's going to be Q&A after, so I've probably said enough now, and thank you for being so attentive, and I look forward to your questions later. Thank you. Salaam alaikum.
Thank you very much, Sister Yvonne Ridley. It was truly inspiring and definitely something that we can all learn from. We will now take a break for prayers. The prayer room has been set up upstairs. You can exit through the back door, which is from the side, and take the lift or the stairs to the second floor, and it's the room just outside the lift. There are our committee members that are all wearing the same kind of scarf, as you can see, and they'll be able to guide you to the prayer room. We will be starting by 7:05 sharp, so please be back in time. With that, I would like to call Brother Shuaib Lader to give the adhan.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن علي ولي الله أشهد أن علي حجة الله حي على السلام حي على السلام حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله